Good evening from the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your forecaster Jeff Monk looking at the planning outlook on the mountains for a week or so ahead. Just to give something of a summary of where we're going first of all, there will be upland gales intermittently, mainly on western mountains. It's not going to be cold. Now, of course, if it is windy and the temperature's only 5 or 6 degrees on the highest summits, it's certainly going to feel colder than freezing point. So that is in relative terms. What we're not going to see is any real periods where on the highest Scottish summits, for example, the temperature is going to be below freezing point. So it is going to be warmer than what it normally is on average this time of year. There will be areas of rain and low cloud. Now, when I did a video this time last week, I was aware that confidence was low. It was really quite complicated, the weather pattern, and so it has turned out, particularly the middle and later on this week. Earlier on, the evolution of that very deep low, that ex-hurricane, was actually very well forecast. But later on it got complicated, and I have to say that the same sort of thing is going to happen this week, so I'm really going to be able to give a guide as to perhaps where the driest areas are going to be, least wind, highest cloud base. But as far as day-to-day detail is concerned, I don't think we're going to win on that one at this stage, albeit that when you look at the various models, they all look very convincing for a particular time. So let's start at the beginning of the week on Monday. By then, we are going to be in southwesterly winds, those southwesterly winds having come from fairly well south in the Atlantic. So that means a couple of things. One, it is not going to be cold. And secondly, it means that the air will be travelling over progressively lower sea temperatures, and that tends to have an impact on the cloud base. So fog will cover many western mountains in particular. We've also got a front coming through on Monday. Again, a little bit of complexity. Different models have got slightly different versions of it, but broadly speaking, there will be extensive low cloud and rain pushing eastwards through the day, albeit that, particularly in Scotland, it may well clear to give a reasonable afternoon, particularly away from western coast. Although, having said that, with the wind direction well back in the south, the northern northwest highlands from Torridon northwards may well clear up nicely. Moving on to Tuesday now, again southwesterly winds from a warm source, extensive low cloud, so foggy on western mountains. Probably the most persistent will be near Irish Sea coasts. Again, when we look at the different models from the different centres, there are differences. One or two of them have got the range, or the heavier range shown by the yellows and the oranges over the middle of Ireland. So, as I say, there are differences. Broadly speaking, persistent low cloud western mountains, where you're in the cloud, it's likely to drizzle, and there will be areas of more persistent rain. Again, it's more eastern areas, the Peak District, perhaps southeast Wales, but particularly northeast Scotland, that will fare best. Blustery at times, and perhaps over Wales. In particular on Tuesday, winds not very far from gale force on the summits. Lighter winds on Wednesday, and the word autumn comes to mind for later in the week. Again, that air coming from a warm source. Cloud will break in some areas, which at night does mean fog in the valleys, and with that moisture also on some of the hills, there will be areas of fog on the hills from quite low levels. Indeed, as we come to later in the week, there may be one or two periods where it get high enough and you're up above the low cloud, possibly between cloud layers, possibly with a nice blue sky above you. That more likely to be over England and particularly Wales. So this particular model shows the remnants of a band of rain just off the south coast of Ireland, where there's a break in it, to North Wales, into the southern Pennines. It looks as if it's going to be somewhere around there, moving northwards through the day, so moist air tending to move back towards Scotland as the day goes on. That area of rain, light rain, shown over northwest Scotland is likely to be showery and probably over Scotland on Wednesday, again particularly away from western summits but perhaps also the northern northwest highlands, reasonable cloud base, many summits cloud free. It's Thursday and Friday where we struggle with evolution. What can we say? Winds southerly. That means if you're north of other hills, in other words North Wales, the Northern Highlands, it does look those will be the areas for best conditions cloud-wise, many summits cloud-free. Again, possibly, if you're in the right place, you may get up above some of the lower cloud and general mist and murk. It is likely to be very hazy, particularly at low levels. What is uncertain are the wind speeds and how far rain will penetrate into western Britain. Friday's chart looks like something like that from this particular model, with rain getting into western areas, but being realistic, Thursday and Friday we're not sure about. Apart from the wind direction, that means mild southerly winds, those breaks to the north of higher hills where the best conditions will be, but shall we just say often hazy, often murky, drizzle and rain here and there, chiefly western mountains. And those conditions may well continue into the following weekend. So do enjoy the mountains.